Did you know it is vital that we take account of how our bodies, minds, and emotions are treated on a day-to-day basis? This week's episode of Taste Test Live is sponsored in part by Inner Court Holistic Day Spa, a wellness escape that specializes in a variety of holistic treatments ranging from Swedish table massage, yoni vaginal steaming, lipomassage, facial pampering, ear candling, and more. Personalize your peace inside the Inner Court by visiting Inner Court Holistic Day Spa at www.innercrt.com or by calling 904-444-7286. This week's episode of Taste Test Live is also brought to you in part by our audio sponsor, WJCT 89.9 FM. WJCT is the NPR member public radio station in Jacksonville, Florida. The station has been on air since 1972 and airs NPR news and talk during the week and a mix of news, talk, eclectic music on the weekends. Want to help WJCT? Visit their website today at wjct.org to find out how you can be a part of community-supported public broadcasting. If you like Taste Test and you want to keep the music digestion sessions going every week and get some exclusive bonus content, stick around afterwards for details. But first, let's start the show. Have a taste.
Hey, what's jazzin'?
What's jazzin'?
No, man. Come on, what's jazzin'?
Oh, jazzy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's time for Taste Test Live. I am Damian Lamar, producer and host of Taste Test, the urban mix show that airs on WJCT 89.9 FM, Northeast Florida's NPR station. Taste Test is a 1-hour, twice-weekly music program. It comes on Tuesday and Saturday at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 Pacific. And I'm excited to be back again for another great week of record industry updates, music news, laughs, and an amazing interview coming up. Joining me in Studio 1 are both my Taste Test Live co-hosts, Blue Francois Extraordinaire and MJ Baker. Welcome back.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, we're here.
Yeah. So, Blue, can you take a quick moment and tell our first-time listeners what they can expect on Taste Test Live?
On the Taste Test Live podcast, you'll hear what we call music digestion sessions. Each week, we feature artists, interviews, awesome backstories, and feature exclusive songs from our guests.
That's right. Our goal is to keep our podcast subscribers happy by offering new, fresh content. Get in touch with us if you want to promote your upcoming single, new album, documentary, or just drop by to share your newest project.
Yeah.
You can do that by heading over to our website at tastetest.live. Head over to our contact page and complete the form to be a guest on our show.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I'm so very excited. Coming up, we have Christina Parrish Stone from Friends of Hemming Park.
Exciting.
And Ebony Payne-English from the Performers Academy.
That's my girl.
Award-winning poet. I'm really, really excited to interview those two ladies. But right now, it is time for...
Put this in your mouth.
We got a little soul and rock and roll with that
one. I have been working on that for 2 days.
That was impressive.
Very much.
Don't quit your day job.
I won't.
So first up, according to I saw this, and I'm gonna lead with this one because this is hot.
Right.
Hot.
Super hot.
According to Gabby Sidibe, who is the co-star on Empire with Jussie Smollett, she posted an image of Jussie Smollett, and the text read, 2.5 weeks after filing a 16-count indictment against Jussie Smollett, the prosecution asked the court to dismiss all 16 counts. They especially conceded that the indictment should be filed in the first place. Noli pro, which is short for no prosequi, and my Latin is horrible. That's Latin for no more prosecution, and it's another way of saying that the cast is voluntarily discontinued by the prosecutor. Jussie's record will be fully expunged and cleared.
You got $1 million show, and he tainted the show. They had to do something like that.
What do you mean?
Like, if they would have continued with it, like I read some reports where they were saying that it was kind of just a waste of time to put energy. Like Chicago police had said that, you know, and one of the prosecutor, they were saying that they felt like it was just a waste of time to continue to pursue this case and give him like time and sentencing and do a whole trial. Like, it wasn't even worth it. But this is when, like, was posted the same day that they dropped the charge. Like, hey, we just didn't even want to, continue with it. So I'm just like, what? And they also said in the article, they looked at the evidence and didn't feel like he needed to be prosecuted.
Yeah, which is why they dropped all 16 counts. All 16 counts. Like,
So do you think this means, is he innocent, or is he did he just get a really big break here?
To clean up his act, he got a break.
yeah. Now, Howard, I want to ask you too, what do you think the implications on his career because of what happened and what's been happening over the last 2 months? How do you feel like that that implicates his career?
Strategically, and I definitely, going back to what MJ Baker said a while back about this mafia thing, strategically, I think that this will be his redemption to open up his opportunity to do other shows, or to solidify his place on this show so that they can continue making millions off celebrating the culture that's on the show. So I just feel like it's a conspiracy.
So do you think that, and pardon my ignorance, do you think the Fox network, who actually is running the Empire show, do you think that they're going to be okay going forward?
No.
How has this changed?
Well, I don't think his career is over, because people love a comeback.
Yeah.
They love, to see redemption. But I do believe that he's going to have to get better at what he does. Like, because vocally he's not very strong. He, you know what I mean? He's a good writer, and he had great production. So,
and apparently he's got great attorneys.
Right.
Amazing.
Well,
great.
Well, I mean, I don't know that Fox will take him back. I mean, because I think too many people don't believe him. So, I mean, and we all know that when people see you on television, they think that's who you are in real life, and vice versa. So, I think his image with that show, I just say take the way out, like you were just saying, and maybe expand to other places and see what else he can get.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thoughts.
Wow. I'm sure next week we'll be talking about more developments with this whole thing, and I hope that he makes a statement and doesn't call him the what did he call himself about Tupac? What did he say?
The gay pop.
The gay Tupac.
Gay Tupac.
I'm gonna need him to never do that again.
Right.
All right. What else is on deck, Blue?
Justin Bieber posted on his Instagram that he's definitely stepping away from music, just going on a musical hiatus to focus on like personal issues in his life and also his marriage. He want to start off his marriage healthy. He want to focus on, home life. And then there's some personal things that he wants to get in order, like with, just things that he's been dealing with spiritually. Because, he was trying to do the faith walk, Christian walk, religious movement thing. And so he posted, say, hey, I'm taking a break. But when I come back, I'm gonna come back bigger, better, stronger than ever. And a lot of I read some of the comments. There's been some mixed reviews. Like some people felt like he wasn't in the industry doing something that was like he's not making his mark in the industry right now. So for him to take a hiatus when he hasn't really been releasing a lot of music, people was kind of like oh hey, I didn't know you were still doing music anyway.
So he's taking a hiatus from vacation. He's taking a vacation from the vacation.
Yeah, I mean, I still appreciate some of the music I've heard over the last 2 years. Like, it was kind of, he's I think he's a very hip artist. I definitely do believe he's very confused, because I know that he was trying to do the Christian thing. I noticed that he would post verses and when things that he was going through, you know what I'm saying? Because
rightfully so, because he's young.
Yeah.
Right. How old is Justin Bieber?
You know what? I don't think he hasn't reached 30 yet.
No, he's like maybe 25.
So
26.
there's still a lot of self-discovery going on, and that's okay. That's to be expected. When I was young, I was just interested in doing what I thought I was supposed to do at that age.
And so if I can say this, and and some people may disagree, but I don't feel like there's anybody in the industry like Justin Bieber. I mean, you have a lot of young guys now who are trying to copy that, but I think that to me, Justin Bieber, which is ironic because I think Usher, he founded him. So he signed with Usher in the beginning. And he's very much like an Usher to the degree of when Usher went away for a little while, he had his marital stuff going on. He had kids. He had a family. And then he came back with Confessions.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it started him back again. So I do think that, and then when you look at the generation like Selena Gomez, who's the other young lady that had some drug issues?
Ariana Grande was in this. Oh no, Miley Cyrus.
Not Miley, but also it's another young lady who
I know you're talking about.
But that generation, they all seem to, all of them that came from the Justin Bieber class have some type of mental or drug issues, all of it emotional. And I think it's all because they didn't have that, certain things got lost, their innocence got lost, which a lot of, young stars do.
It's very, very similar to all the people that were involved in the Mickey Mouse Club. Right. That young stardom.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. And so I think this is very smart of him because he does have that Christian upbringing. Mm-hmm. He did actually, when he first started, he was posting worship songs. And he was a worship leader in his church before he got discovered. So I'm saying that to say it makes sense because, with Christian values, not saying that that's what he's following now, but with Christian values, it does teach you to make sure your home is tight. In that
I respect
sense.
it.
So, I mean, I don't think that his space is going to go anywhere because to me, just like there's nobody like an Usher. I don't care how many times Neo sings or, he's not Usher. You know what I'm saying?
He's not no Usher.
He's not Usher, but he has the great mad writing skills though.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So good luck with Justin Bieber and Hailey Baldwin. Wish them a lot of success and come back to the music soon. Next, Pop Sugar Entertainment had reported that there was a surprise proposal on American Idol this year, and I'm talking like I didn't watch it last night. Let me tell you something. I like Katy Perry. I felt like she was like I think she was like somebody who just rose like against the tide and just set her own, kind of made her own way. So to see her judge American Idol, I actually can appreciate that. Like she's very real and straight up with them. And so when I'm watching this proposal, the young lady was like, she was on edge. She was just like, they asked her about being in love and she was like, yeah, I think I'm in love and this, that, and the other. And so after she performed, luckily, she actually did pretty good. And after she performed, her boyfriend came out and proposed to her.
So her boyfriend, 23-year-old Matt from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
He proposed.
He proposed to her, yeah. And I didn't cry, but I actually kind of felt the tearjerker, like when you feel like, because American Idol's well-produced show.
Oh yeah.
They had the music, the lighting, and then the guy, and then people crying, and then they showing Katy Perry, and because she just recently got engaged to Orlando Bloom. And
Katy Perry?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So she was still on that high, like, so she was like crying, like she felt.
She there's a quote that says that it was such a beautiful moment, but it may have been the ugliest cry of her life.
Yeah, she fell.
And you didn't see it.
No, yeah, I watched it. She fell to the ground, and the camera came up close to her, and and she like, get out of the way. It was so amazing. I was just like, wow, American Idol is really good this year.
This is really good TV.
Like, it was real. And when it was the first ever proposal that they ever did on American Idol, so it was amazing. Like,
wow.
Yeah, so I really. And speaking of American Idol, next week we got William Oliver coming.
Yeah, I'm excited to interview him.
Yeah, so he's gonna be telling about his experience and being on American Idol and being right here from Jacksonville. And I've been watching him, like perform, doing live shows. So I was very excited because we're going to be doing a session real soon for some of the things that he got coming up. And I said, hey, why don't you come on our taste test and give us some exclusive?
So he, as well as Joanne and Jareen Walton from Stank Sauce.
That's going to be
will be here. So.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
the brothers?
The brothers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Walton brothers.
Yeah.
So we're excited about having them on, too. What else do we have on deck for Put This in Your Mouth?
Man. Oh, man. Page6.com and Hip Hop Ratchet resurfaced a video of Cardi B admitting to robbing and drugging men. The singer then explained herself in the Instagram about the live recorded that was 3 years ago. The rapper said, I had to go strip. I had to go. Oh, yeah, you want to F me? Yeah, let's go back to this hotel. And I drugged them. And she went on to say...
So she admitted that she drugged them and she robbed them, and that's what she used to do.
Well, I'm going to say this. She's getting a lot of endorsements. Mm-hmm. She's charting. She's breaking records. She did a Pepsi deal that helping her transcend where she's at. And I feel like... And then now she's doing a movie about her life of being a stripper. I feel like certain things are working towards her that's making her elevate. And then a lot of people are like bringing up things from, because in the strip, like me, I used to go to the strip club a lot, and and that was something a lot, yeah. And that was a concern, like flashing money, and women would prey on like, hey, oh, he got some money. Not that it was preying on me, but I would notice that certain men would, like get robbed, or, like even in Jacksonville, like that's a thing where like everybody know who the dope boys are, everybody know who got money, and sometimes they wind up dead. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I'm not blaming them on strippers, but I'm just saying like it's a culture where women see opportunity and they'll go to any lengths of doing it. And it may not be to kill them. It might just be like, I'm just going to get them because they want to have sex with me. So I'm going to get them for what they got. And that's a mentality. Like, and that's what she said. She's like, hey, I had to do what I had to do. Like, if they wanted sex, okay, hey, I would just set it up where I would, give them Molly's, Percocets. And she did a live video me and MJ was watching, and she was just like saying, hey, this is what I did. Like,
So let's go down the rabbit hole for one quick second, just for my own entertainment, just my guilty pleasure. Do you think it's acceptable in American society for people to continually judge people based on their past?
Ooh, good question. I don't think it's fair to some. Mm-hmm. Like to me,
some, not why not all?
Everybody dips in the cookie jar every once in a while, but once you totally make a 360 and leave that behind, it's cool. But for people who still they might be here and who still decides to say, hey, I'm still like Robert Kraft from the who's the Patriots winner, who won the Super Bowl. Like for him to be so successful, I can't blame him for being in a being somewhere where they do happy endings. Like I can't blame him for that because that's his guilty pleasure. But to get caught up in a situation where you just like, the point I'm trying to make is if you at a certain pinnacle of your life, certain things that you should do, you should guard your personal life at the highest and do whatever you want to do, but make sure it doesn't bring you down once you get caught up.
Right. So in Cardi B's case, what she's doing is she's sort of exposing her own skeletons because, when you reach a certain level of success and you plateau, like you said, this Pepsi deal, she's now here.
Oh,
she's up at this a higher platform now. And sure, old people are coming back and they're saying, you did this to me. She has to address those things. She can't deny them anymore. It's how she addresses it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, it's like, so if we pay attention to where she was 3 years ago and where she is now, like if we look how old those videos were, this is probably at a point where, like they did one where she did an interview on The Breakfast Club and they were asking her different questions and she was on Love and Hip Hop. This is one of those videos was when she was just starting and when she was getting her mixtapes out and she was handing her stuff. So at that time, you're not conscious of image. You're not You're not thinking, oh, I could have a Pepsi deal one day. That's not the type of environment she came from. She came from the environment of get while you can, and then her personality is, I'm not going to be, ashamed of what I'm doing. And, you could just tell she's a very open and broad person. And
she's very real. I mean, she doesn't put on, she doesn't pretend to be something that she's not.
Right. And I think if we take it to, instead of judging the lifestyle, or judging, her choices because that's something she felt to do. And probably, like one of her statements when she said, oh yeah, you want to sleep with me? Oh yeah, let's go to this hotel. And so think about it. You're a stripper. Men are grabbing on you all day. They're offering you money. So what do you do to that? You fake the funk, and then you take them for the money. You don't want to give your body. So you just say, well, let me fake him out. And in a sense, it's almost like, I don't want to be the victim, so I'm going to make you the victim. And I'm not saying that is right.
Right.
But I'm just saying the mentality is, as a woman, I'm going to take control, and this is how I'm going to take the control. And in various ways. And so, I hope, I heard it's also going to be a book. And so I hope that, whoever her ghostwriters are can really expound on that reality. Because really the deeper issue is, and I'm just, as a woman, the deeper issue is she felt trapped as a stripper, because she talks about how she needed money, and her homegirl, she was working across the street, and she went in, and somebody told her, said, you should go, you're really nice, you have a nice body, you should go strip. And she went, and in one night she made enough to pay her rent. And so
she got used to it real quick.
Oh yeah.
Correct. So what I'm saying is, it's like, okay, so for someone in that position who's like, I want to be able to provide for my family, and she was able to give her parents money and able to help them with their living situation. So think about the mentality of, okay, you want to touch me and do this and do that, I'm gonna get you.
Do you agree with the comparison between her and Bill Cosby?
No, because, Bill Cosby was not, his was a sickness. Hers was survival. I really believe that. I mean, and I feel like because if hers was a sickness, she'd still be doing it.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
She has the money and she has the means.
That she got out from that.
Right. Because
and she didn't continue that behavior.
Correct. Because as soon as she got into rapping, she, and really started.
So she found another out.
Correct.
And that her outlet now is completely different, and she doesn't have to rob anybody.
Correct.
Okay. Valid.
I mean,
that's a really good perspective.
Thoughts. Yeah.
Really good perspective.
That answers the other question about, people with the past, and is it okay to forget about it?
Yeah, I just think right now in our society there are so many people that are quick to judge.
Yeah, definitely.
Quick to quick to assassinate somebody's character. And then they'll create the comparison of the same individuals that are, okay, Bill Cosby versus Cardi B, and they compare the two of them,
right,
without really looking at the perspective. Like, I'd never thought about it from that perspective. So that's pretty.
Yeah, the circumstances, and I think if people go back, listen to her interviews and listen to the stories that she tells, and she doesn't say a lot, but she says enough. And if you go back and you really take a listen, you will say, okay, I understand now. You know what I'm saying? And what her thoughts were and what her mentality. And then look at who she is right now. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
We're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back and interview our guests.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Taste Test Live. I'm your host, Damian Lamar, and I'm joined in the studio with Christina Parrish Stone and Ebony Payne-English. I want to take a quick moment to interview these two ladies. They have a lot to say, and I'm so excited to have them on the show. We'll start with Christina first. Christina is a longtime advocate of Jacksonville's urban neighborhoods with significant experience in historic preservation and the use of arts and culture as tools for community development. A resident of historic Springfield, she retired from a 20-year career as an attorney specializing in real estate law, served as executive director of the Springfield Preservation and Revitalization Council for 7 years, and now serves as managing director of Friends of Hemming Park, a nonprofit organization contracted by the city to revitalize the park in the center of downtown Jacksonville. Christina was responsible for founding Jacksonville Porch Fest, an annual music festival that brings thousands of people to Springfield to enjoy dozens of performances on porches and in parks throughout the historic district. A board member or chair of several other civic organizations, Christina recently completed her goal of visiting each of the 50 United States and believes that Jacksonville is poised to end its reign as America's most underrated, underappreciated, and misunderstood city. Welcome.
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, what a rap sheet.
Some people would call it a rap sheet.
So I wanted to invite you on, and we'll introduce Ebony a little bit later. I think Ebony has quite a bit of information to share, and I'm so excited to be on the tail end of National Poetry Month, or the beginning of National Poetry Month. So, Christina, tell me a little bit about what you are doing now.
So I've been with Friends of Hemming Park for a little over a year now, and it's been one of the best experiences of my life. Hemming Park is like Jacksonville, one of those underrated places that should be celebrated. It's the heart of our city. It's the oldest park, surrounded by some of the most important cultural institutions. Our local government is based adjacent to Hemming Park. We've got our fabulous art museum, MoCA, our downtown library, and lots of local businesses. So we believe at Friends of Hemming Park that we need to leverage what we have in Jacksonville, celebrate our history, bring people who live outside of the urban core into the center city, bring tourists from out of state and from other countries to downtown. So at Hemming, we're doing everything we can to elevate the quality of programming in the park. We're bringing interesting performers in. We also are trying to celebrate the wonderful diversity of this city. I think too often we forget about all the people from many different backgrounds who make up the population of Jacksonville, who have so much to offer and so many interesting things to share. And our work with Jacksonville Poetry Fest is related to that. We're partnering with two other nonprofits, the Performers Academy, and I'm sure going to hear from Ebony about that in a few minutes, and Hope at Hand, which is the organization that actually started Jax Poetry Fest several years ago. Jax Poetry Fest celebrates National Poetry Month, which is held throughout the month of April. Hope at Hand is an amazing organization that does poetry therapy. They started mostly working with incarcerated young women, and they've expanded so that they serve other groups, but they really show the power of the spoken and written word and how it can be healing and help people work through difficult situations. So they started Jax Poetry Fest several years ago. It's been a smaller event, and I was very fortunate to become friends with the founder of Hope at Hand, Stephanie Fletcher, when we were both in Leadership Jacksonville together. And then we had the, it's hard to say privilege because it was definitely a challenge. We both were working with organizations that were applying for a cultural service grant from the city of Jacksonville and the Cultural Council, which Ebony also knows about that. Yeah. It is one of the most difficult processes you could possibly go through to hopefully end up with $1,500 or something like that the first year. And Stephanie and I did that together for the first time and really bonded over that. And over the past few years, we've talked about how we could elevate Jax Poetry Fest. So this year, we're producing a lot of events in Hemming Park along with Stephanie and Hope at Hand and Ebony and the Performers Academy. And it's hard to express how excited I am about the broad programming that we're going to bring to downtown Jacksonville. Yeah,
so I too am excited being part of the team. So this is the first time we've had something this extensive in the park, specifically in reference to poetry. Yeah. So a little bit about you personally. I know you served on the SPAR Council, and I had the privilege of sitting on that board with you for at least 2 years while I lived in Springfield. What is it like living in Springfield, or what they call the urban core?
I love it, and I can't say I wouldn't live anywhere else in Jacksonville because I have lived in some other urban core neighborhoods, but there is so much happening in all of our urban core neighborhoods. Springfield lagged behind a little bit, and when I moved there, that's one reason that I got involved with Porch Fest and SPAR. Was Springfield was kind of the stepchild, and I felt compelled to help move it forward. But I've also lived in San Marco and Riverside Avondale. When I was working with SPAR, I became acquainted with a travel writer who is based in New York and works with some national publications and things like Frommer's and Fodor's, and does a lot of writing, who really helped me understand how important the urban core neighborhoods are to Jacksonville. She had contacted Visit Jacksonville, and this is before our current wonderful director of Visit Jacksonville, Michael Corrigan, was there, because she wanted to visit Jacksonville and write about Jacksonville on her very well-known blog. And she didn't really get any response from them. So somehow she found me. Someone said that she should talk to me, and as soon as she expressed interest in Springfield, which was still the stepchild at that time, I agreed to pick her up at the airport, take her on the home tour, drive her around, take her to other neighborhoods. And she and I became friends. She wrote her article for the HuffPost, I think it was, and she talked about how Jacksonville was a city of amazing neighborhoods, but really didn't have anything to offer downtown. And part of that was that she was insulted that she hadn't been supported downtown, but I think it was also because I showed her a really good time in all the neighborhoods, which are all thriving and each have their own distinct character. So, Springfield is the first neighborhood, and tends to be, at least at that time, still had a lot of urban pioneers, people who weren't afraid to live in a neighborhood that's had challenges that might keep some people from living there. A lot of houses that hadn't been restored yet. And then, of course, San Marco is maybe the neighborhood that never had any real significant issues. And Riverside Avondale has 5 points, and kind of the younger, I think it was just ranked as one of the best neighborhoods for millennials in the country. But she came to Jacksonville, and she saw that Jacksonville had these amazing neighborhoods that our city wasn't talking about and sharing with the rest of the world. And I thought about that a lot, after she shared that with me. And I also thought about the fact that she really thought downtown Jacksonville didn't have much to offer. And I think that's part of what led me to join Hemming Park, because I think that any city, to be a great city, has to have a thriving, interesting, exciting downtown.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So you have the beat, as they would say, on arts and culture, but also from a preservation, a historic preservation perspective. What makes you like art the way you do? I know you spent some time in Savannah, having worked with you.
So I think from a very early age, I was involved in art and studied art as a child, and was exposed by my parents. My mother was a writer and an artist, and spent a lot of time visiting art museums and traveling. But I really didn't get seriously involved until I was in Springfield and started doing a lot of community development work and going to things like the Main Street America Conference and seeing how other cities were using public art as a tool for economic development. Mm-hmm. And we started sort of playing with that in Springfield. I was very fortunate to become friends with Jennifer Hager, who is the sculpture professor at UNF, and get involved with some of her sculpture walk projects. And we brought some of that to Springfield. We created some murals. We used proceeds from Porch Fest to fund art, and we saw the impact that it had on the community. I've done a lot of research on the impact of public art in cities around this country and around the world, and the numbers back that view up, that public art is a tool for economic development. It brings tourists to neighborhoods. who, of course, spend money in those neighborhoods.
Right.
And as far as community development goes, there are a lot of studies that show that people who live in challenged neighborhoods who participate in public art projects or who view public art that's installed in their neighborhoods, especially if the public has the ability to influence what that public art is, develop a greater appreciation and love for their neighborhoods. I've heard so many times from people around Jacksonville, neighborhoods that are really struggling, and Springfield has gotten to the point that you can't really even call that a struggling neighborhood anymore.
Yeah.
But there are other neighborhoods on the north side of downtown that have much greater challenges than Springfield. And you'll hear people say, well, why would you put public art in? Because someone might put graffiti on it or destroy it. And I've heard over and over again from artists who've worked in some of those neighborhoods that when they engage the community and the community helps produce the public art, it's always protected. And you don't end up with tags on the art or anything like that. And it creates a sense of pride in the neighborhood.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm almost stymied. Just a lot of information in reference to public art specifically. But can you talk about the upcoming sculpture project that's going to be in Hemming Park this summer?
Yes. So that's a very cool project for several reasons. For one thing, Hemming Park, being the center of the city, is a place where a lot of people will get to see the art that's installed there. There's some challenges with the park because of all the pavement in the park, and so it's hard to do landscaping, and to make it beautiful, you need to add things that will sit on top of pavement. So the sculptures are going to make the park more beautiful, but even more exciting is the fact that we teamed up with the University of North Florida and provided some students who might not otherwise have the opportunity to participate in the public art process with a chance to present their artist statements and to create models and convince an art selection panel that their work should be selected for a project like this, which is something that as professional artists after they graduate, they'll need to do, and that most artists have never had the experience of doing before. So we created, Jennifer Hager and I worked together, and we came up with a plan to invite all of UNF's more senior sculpture students to create models that would be displayed at the Museum of Contemporary Art and then evaluated by an art selection panel made up of arts experts and downtown advocates, and then have a student selected to receive a stipend to create a large-scale sculpture, which can be very expensive and something students can't normally afford to do, that would be displayed in this very public space. And Hemming Park, with limited funds, initially committed to fund one sculpture. So we gave UNF some money to help the students create their models, which were amazing. And, of course, there's cost and teacher time involved. And then our plan was that we would provide a stipend to one student that would allow them to cover all the cost of creating a sculpture. We'd pay the cost of installing it in the park, provide insurance, and help them to sell that sculpture while it was on display. Hemming Park wouldn't own it. It would be there for a year. And the idea is that every year we would have another sculpture added. Well, the students did such an amazing job and had such an incredible response from the public, who were able to view the sculptures at MoCA for a whole month before the art selection panel met, that a very generous friend of Hemming Park, Preston Haskell, agreed to provide additional funds so that we could select 3 students to create sculptures, which they found out the day that they were doing their presentations to the panel. So they were very excited, and now we'll have 3 students installing those sculptures in June. I've seen pictures of the work in progress. It's very exciting to see those little 18-inch tall models transformed into 6 to 12-foot tall sculptures that are going to be in the park. And we'll be celebrating that in June with the Cultural Council, who is teaming up with Friends of Hemming Park to produce Jacksonville Public Art Week the same week that we install the sculptures in the park.
Nice.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, it's really
I
exciting.
love the fact that of collaboration. I think collaboration is key. We're going to be obviously talking in a minute about collaboration on the National Poetry Month specifically, but I think we can get a lot more accomplished if we put our heads together and more organizations come together and they begin to collaborate on different projects. You get more bang with your buck. You get more reach. You can the proverbial line, cast the wide net. And since you've been on the team, it's been amazing changes, amazing collaborations, amazing ideas. So it's a joy working with you. And I want to have you jump in when you like, but I'd like to take a quick moment just to introduce Ebony Payne-English, who's joining us also here in Studio One.
Peace and light.
Yeah, peace and light. I'm going to read your bio as well, Ebony. It's quite a little bit of a rap sheet as well. Ebony Payne-English is a literary artist, performer, and educator of Jacksonville. She's the first woman to establish her own chapter of the international poetry organization Black on Black Rhyme. She's also the 2017 Cultural Council of Greater Jacksonville's Emerging Artist and recipient of the Spoken Word Gala's 2017 William Bell Humanitarian Award. She's currently the managing director of the Performers Academy and active member of the Southern Fried Poetry, Inc. Board of Directors. As the author of the award-winning poetry collection Secrets of Ma'at, currently available on Amazon, Ebony has been featured in esteemed publications as well as digital outlets such as Florida Times Union, Durneri V Magazine, WJCT's First Coast Connect, and My Black Matters. And in her 14 years of public experience, Ebony's performance accolades include the New Orleans House of Blues, Essence Festival, Nuyorican Cafe, Crossroads Theater, TEDx, Jax by Jax, as well as a countless other colleagues, universities, and prestigious entertainment venues nationwide. Her discography includes 5 albums. Wow. Odd Soul from 2016, Struggles Embrace 2010, Ebb and Flow 2012, School Beats 2013, and No Love, which she brought to Taste Test Live. I'm excited about hearing that. Ebony's educational background features Douglas Anderson School of the Arts, New World Conservatory, Florida A&M University, and Florida State University. Through her philanthropic work with Black on Black Rhyme, Jax Foundation, and Jax Youth Poetry Slam, Ebony's maintained a 100% college attendance rate amongst graduating mentees for over 5 years. She's also taught invitational workshop at venues such as the Tupac Amaru Shakur Center for the Arts, Morgan State University, HBO Brave Voices, the National After School Programming Conference, and the Department of Juvenile Justice. Welcome, Ebony Payne-English.
Hello.
Hi.
Hard time, man. Hard time.
Yeah. So you have a lot to say.
Yeah.
And wow. I have to preface by saying I don't write any questions down because I usually feed off of the energy that I'm getting from the guest.
That's what's up. I don't choose my set list when I feature.
Yeah.
I vibe off of the atmosphere of the guest.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah. So it's a pleasure having you here. I've been wanting to get you here for a long time, and we booked this quite a while ago.
Yes, we did.
So since we talked about National Jax Poetry Month, can you talk about your involvement through the Performance Academy with National Poetry Month?
Sure. So National Poetry Month is always like a big deal for Jacksonville because a lot of the nationally recognized poets, whether we know it or not, like Poetry Slam champions, are Jacksonville natives.
It's amazing.
Or touring college poets. They're Jacksonville natives. And so many people had no idea about that, even though we shout out Duval everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere you go, somebody's yelling Duval. Some of our more intellectually based accomplishments, especially when it comes to artists of color, are often overlooked by the broad audience here in Jacksonville. And so National Poetry Month, there's always been an opportunity for me to spread love to the poets who have been doing it and continue to do it in a very big way and put on for their city globally every day. And so I love it. And Stephanie came to me and Tanya Smart with the opportunity to collaborate on the Jax Poetry Fest. And I wanted to be part of it. I was a poet who previously, in previous years that they did Jax Poetry Fest, didn't know much about it and felt away, like that I didn't know much about the festival. Like I felt like they celebrate everything. They celebrate Beer Fest, right?
Right.
But a poetry festival comes and Jacksonville is given this gift, and then it's like it goes under the radar. So when Stephanie like asked if I wanted to be involved, I said absolutely. We teach poetry at the Performance Academy, and much like Hope at Hand, we teach incarcerated youth and youth who are in need of behavioral intervention. So that includes drug rehab and our foster teens. And so it was a natural collaboration for her and I to like cross paths and do something together. And then we got the opportunity to collaborate with Friends of Hemming Park. And I'm a fan of Christina Parrish. And
Yeah, me too.
you know, like I have benefited from the work that she does to improve the quality of life for Jacksonville citizens. And so it was an honor to sit at the table with these women and put our heads together and figure out something for the month that we all can enjoy and feel included and accepted at. So.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. So can you tell us a little bit about what we have to look forward to in April?
Yes. So the festival kicks off on the 3rd at Art Walk. So the main library, what up, Shawana Brooks? But the main library, the Makerspace, the Jax Makerspace, is going to be partnering with Friends of Hemming Park to do poetry all night, like featured sets and open mics all night during Art Walk. And that's going to be exciting. There are poets that we will be honoring and recognizing throughout the entire month. On the 7th, the Museum of Contemporary Art is allowing me to bring the Her Story of Hip Hop in the form of a concert to their UNF theater inside.
Wow. What's the title of that
it's
show?
It's called The God MC.
Oh my gosh, I was going to ask. That's one of my questions. Okay.
Yeah.
It's called The God MC. And I'm honored to be able to be in my city and present the untold history of rhythm and poetry as it pertains to the muting and erasure of the feminine voice and influence in a culture that has reshaped popular culture and changed the world. And I wanted, as an artist, so desperately to be free to create and not feel the pressure to make political commentary behind my artwork, but just allow my artwork to speak for itself. But the issue I kept running into is I'm a hip-hop artist, and hip-hop has an awful history of the treatment and representation of women, and specifically Black women. And it has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with my humanity. And as a human who creates for a living, I have to tell the truth about my experiences. And my experience as a lyricist has been one of marginalization and outright blatant discrimination when it comes to my skills and my platform and being accepted in the hip-hop environment. Although hip-hop was founded by a Black woman.
Interesting.
It would Kool Herc is the little brother of Cindy Campbell, whose party it was that day, August 11th. Okay? And it wasn't his party. He was the borrowed help for his sister, who had a following, who had an audience, who wanted to throw a back-to-school party to make some money before they went back to school. And she paid $25 to rent the rec center. She went and got index cards from school and made handmade invitations and passed them out. She booked her little brother to DJ at the party. And she went and purchased food and beverages wholesale and then charged 50 cents for the fellas and 20 cents for the ladies, and made $500 that day.
Wow.
And her little brother managed to invent the breakbeat during that pinnacle event.
Yeah.
And so we say Kool Herc is the father of hip hop because he did something awesome on his turntables that day, and I can't take that away from him. So he did something wonderful for DJs that day. But his sister Cindy did something wonderful for the culture. She's the first hip hop promoter. She's responsible for this entire culture.
Shout out to Cindy.
A chance. What up, Cindy? I get a chance to say her name
Yeah.
on stage in the company of artists that I love and respect, both male and female, that are willing to pay homage to the truth and willing to allow me to express my humanity and artistic vulnerability in a way that gives honor to those who made it possible for me to speak freely behind a 808. So
That's amazing.
That
I
is
did not
great.
know
It's a
that.
great
I just
story.
learned something. That's really cool.
yeah, I can. Sylvia Robinson produced Rapper's Delight. And the reason why the Sugar Hill Gang is the Sugar Hill Gang is because she signed them to her label that she owned called Sugar Hill Records. And she was the first record label executive to sign a rap act, period. In history.
Yeah.
Sylvia Robinson. And we should say her name more often.
Absolutely.
And it should be known just as much as we know any of the record label execs. Russell Simmons is credited for being the first hip hop label exec, and it's not true.
Right.
Sylvia had her label. She signed the first rap group, and she produced the first rap record. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that the first Grammy-nominated Best Rap Solo was Roughneck by MC Lyte.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that people don't say that either.
Well, it's like, and so this was going to be my question to both of you, because you both are, women leaders within this city in the arts community. And so how do you all, as she was stating, it's like, we are understated, as women, sometimes we are underestimated. And so, starting with Christina and then Ebony, how is it, as you being in leadership in the arts as a woman, do you find, you're underestimated, any type of discrimination? Do you have to fight a little harder to get your point, your view across?
Well, I think it's interesting that the biggest poetry celebration that Jacksonville has ever seen is being produced by 3 women.
Turn up.
So I
That's historic by itself.
I would say that there's one advantage in being a woman, and that we tend to be collaborators,
Yeah.
perhaps more so than a lot of men. I'm experiencing good things today in the arts as a woman. When I was working in the traditional business world as an attorney and a banker, I really faced more challenges then than I do now. I hear everything that Ebony's saying, and I was a young girl when Rapper's Delight came out, and I've heard all the stories about Sylvia Robinson and have deep respect for her, and agree that we need to tell those stories now. But I think we're at a point now that women are really ready to take ownership of
The awesome things that they've done.
And if you look at Jacksonville, our new head of the Cultural Council is a wonderful woman who I'm hoping is going to be one of our poetry readers. One of the things we're doing for Poetry Month is
awesome.
Every Thursday in Hemming Park, we're going to be introducing the community to poets, both from history and current poets, and having poetry readings in the park to share poetry with the community. Good. And we've got a number of celebrity readers who will be coming out from the city to share their original work and poetry by others that they admire. So while yes, there's definitely a history of discrimination and challenge against women, and women today face incredible odds in many areas. I do think because of women's willingness to work together and collaborate and support each other, that's about to change. It is changing.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah. What about you, Ebony? How would you follow up with that?
As a woman, I feel like I have the ability to be a master creator, and that not because I have a womb, but through the experience of having a womb, creation takes on a new meaning in my vessel and my body, and with my vessel and with my body. And it's been my experience that as an artist, I find myself just documenting the human experience, and it's a collaborative one. And so it comes natural, as Christina said, for us to collaborate.
Yeah.
And that's been my entire artistic experience, is collaborating with the other brilliant minds in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never mattered what their pronouns are. It's never mattered. What I've experienced in return is that sometimes my gifts offend people who maybe are not of the same gender as me. That a lot of times my genius has come across as being condescending, and my passion has come across as aggression. And I find myself having to explain myself in ways other people don't. And that bothers me a lot. But I think, like, even on the sports world, Serena Williams encountered that on the, day she had that match taken from her, and she was just being an athlete, like being passionate,
right.
But it was perceived as aggression. And I find myself explaining that away a lot, and I don't know, I haven't figured that out, but I'm definitely in a space where I feel inspired and supported, and my greatest supporters have been women. I can say that hands down. Mm-hmm. The people who have bought up all my books and come by my website and book me for shows, the vast majority of them have been women. Mm-hmm. And that feels good. I don't feel bad about that. I feel empowered and loved and nurtured. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you just gave birth recently. How old is your baby girl now?
She's 1 year, 5 months.
1 year, 5 months. Wow.
Yes, she is.
How has that changed you as a woman? How has it changed your outlook on poetry? And has it softened you? Has it made you harder or stronger?
There's no hood like motherhood. Motherhood is the hardest, most gangster hood on the planet.
Christina Nighthead.
Yeah.
I have 4 children. I can completely relate to that.
It has improved me in every way. It has informed me in every way that another human can be informed. The closest you can be to someone is inside of them.
Yeah.
No one has ever been close to me the way that my daughter has. So therefore, nobody can ever get to me or affect me the way that she can. Mm-hmm. That's a very powerful being that exists in my circle of influence right now. And my entire being revolves around her. And my success is because of her. Because losing is not an option for, it should be not an option for anybody, but it's not an option for a mother. Period.
Yeah. Right. The responsibility is too great.
It's just the stakes are too high, man. I was sharing this with one of my sister friends, and I was letting her know that I accept it and I'm okay with it. But the truth of the matter is, no matter in the way in which my father showed up for me, there was a bond that him and I had that was unbreakable. Mm-hmm. No matter how long he may have been away, no matter what he did while he was away, when he came around, I was just happy to have him there. My mother could have been there every single day of my life, wiped every runny nose, changed every poopy diaper, and she's held to a different standard. Because if she was there and made a mistake, that mistake becomes a wound that I hold against her for the rest of my life. And I didn't feel that same way about my father. And I wanted to understand that because I now am a single mother, and I want to know in what way I can prepare myself, because that's gonna happen. And I don't want to traumatize my child by spazzing out every time she mentions her father or how much she loves him. But I also don't want to traumatize myself by feeling inadequate because the way in which she responds to me is different than the way, or more, just she holds me to a higher standard.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest problem women face today, is that society sets these expectations.
Yes.
So when you were talking earlier about how you were viewed because you were a woman in your art, that carries over to other things like politics.
Yes.
A woman candidate is expected to smile and be positive, and if she makes a strong statement, then she's viewed in a negative way, where a man's expected to be strong.
Right.
And what you said about fathers and mothers is so true. Society will condemn a woman who doesn't do everything perfectly, and they'll praise a man who just shows up from time to time.
Right.
Oh my God, he picked the kids up at carpool one day. He's awesome. And that's got to change. I mean, that's, I think, one of the areas where we're at the biggest disadvantage right now, is that expectation still exists. And women hold themselves
We do.
accountable and feel guilty.
Well, you know what? And I feel like that's an individual journey, because we have to, as individuals, come to that place to say, I was created as an individual. What is my journey? What is my walk like? But we're not taught to remove expectations. We're not, we're taught to carry those expectations, just like we're taught that we're supposed to play with Barbies. We're supposed to, and that, or that at a certain age you're not supposed to play with dolls. I mean, I remember at 13 still wanting Barbies, and my mother telling me,
You're too old.
You're too old for that. But I love dolls. So then I began to hate. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess it's just like when we have that knowledge, like you were talking about the collaboration, if we can collaborate and share our knowledge with one another and just plant seeds, I think that it will spread. And I think more and more women are, through this, even through the Me Too movement, are understanding that, we do have value. Maybe the rules are not, who made these rules? Right. Who said? Right. Who said this is how I'm supposed to be, or I'm supposed to act? Let's talk about it.
Right.
So one of the most interesting changes I've viewed recently, when we talk about how women collaborate better, when I was growing up, you always heard about how men had these easy friendships and girls were always out to get each other.
Right.
And that was was always the conversation. Oh, guys are always close because they play sports, and they never stab each other in the backs or whatever. And girls are out to get each other. And that's a myth that we all grew up with. Yeah. And it's like we were taught that we were supposed to be kind of hold our friends off a little bit and be watching our backs. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that's not true at all.
Right.
The people who, just like you were saying, the people who support your work the most, the people who support me the most tend to be my female friends or other women in the community.
My sisters have proven themselves to be my comrades and not my competition every chance I've given them. Even when we're billed on the same show, even when we have the same show the same week or the same night, like, it has been love. That's what I've experienced. And what I see in the artistic arena is the media trying to put a competitive spin on that.
Right.
Like, it can't be Cardi and Nicki. It has to be Cardi versus Nicki.
Right.
And, like, there's a lot to say about that. It was Lil' Kim versus Foxy Brown, all of that kind of stuff. And, like, I feel like when MC Lyte and Queen Latifah and Yo-Yo and all of them came out, they were just happy to be there.
Yeah. And you even see it like with when Solange Knowles came out with her, her album, not this one, but the one before.
A Seat at the Table.
Yeah, The Seat at the Table. And
masterful.
People even then were trying to say Solange versus Beyonce. And, but I love that they were like, no, we're completely different. We know that. And there's no comparison, So, yeah.
Well, I love the conversation. We can talk all day about this. I know we can. I think we need a women's round table where women literally speak freely and there's just the open conversation. I, as a male, was raised by a village of women. which is why I show a lot of sensitivity. I appreciate a woman, and I know how to, like my aunt says, I'm the best date. I know how to you open the door for a woman. You know how to treat a woman because you have that expectation.
I
can cook too.
Yeah, I
can cook. He can make some mean tea.
That's true. Yeah. So I would always take a back seat to a woman in any way, because I think none of us would be here without a woman. So
everybody got a mama.
Yeah, and women have a different perspective on everything, just in general. So I just admire both of you as women, and I look forward to next month and all of the wonderful words. The words. So speaking of words, would you share a few words with us? Yeah. Are you prepared to
She always
to rhyme?
She's always prepared. She's going through her mental Rolodex.
Yeah. I'm a lion in stilettos with the Coca-Cola frame. Emerged from all the stardust, I was born to entertain. I don't need to play your games. I don't need to rock with lanes. Shawty fly as a bird, main #1 stunner. Not one likeness among us, so don't compare me to none yet. I'm on my goddess ethereal, kingdom full be imperial, microphone killer cereal, cuckoo puffin' this lyrical, crack on bass in your stereo, glow be fully empirical, still explosive material, no. I'm out here with the Damien Flow, MJ Baker to my left, Christine to my right, yo. Blue is the photographer, shooters in the squad, yo. We sitting at the radio, WJCT Taste Test Radio show, NPR Flow.
Wow, that was fresh. right off the medulla oblongata.
Amazing.
Yes.
And speaking of NPR, that reminds me, we should talk about some of the programming we have planned for Poetry Fest.
Yeah, by all
because we
means.
have an amazing artist who has become very successful on NPR. Who's going to be here with us on April 27th. Who's from our city, Mr. Al Letson.
Yes, absolutely.
And, he is flying in from San Francisco to host our closing celebration for Jax Poetry Fest that's going to feature a lot of other amazing poets from Jacksonville. We'll be in Hemming Park on April 27th, I think starting at 5 o'clock. We've got DJ Mike Monster Robinson, who's going to spin all night. We have Matthew Cuban Hernandez.
He's coming home from LA.
Yeah.
Kia Flow's coming down.
Kia Flow, National Slam champion.
Yep.
Kia Flow is coming back.
Love Reigns will be with us.
Yes, she will. Host the Cypher Open Mic Poetry and Soul.
Tiffany Stewart Melanson.
Yeah.
And of course, Ebony Payne-English.
Yeah.
That's the creme de la creme.
Yeah, creator writing at Douglas Henderson.
It's going to be an amazing night. And leading up to that, we start off with Art Walk next week, where they'll be announcing some high school poetry award winners. Melissa Ross from WJCT will be hosting that part of the program. We'll have some featured sets from some local poets. And something that I'm excited about, Douglas Anderson's Spoken Word Club is going to host an open mic for us at the end of the evening. So like we always try to do in Hemming Park, we try to celebrate young people.
Yeah.
And that's something that needs to happen more in this community.
Yeah,
we have a lot of issues with education and violence and everything else, and people who feel lost. And so here's another opportunity that young people in our community are going to get to come out and be the stars of the show and organize something. So they'll be in the park on Wednesday. And then after that, the next day on Thursday and every other Thursday in April, we'll have our poetry readings in the park. We have a number of people who are going to be presenting. And on April 18th, the entire program will be done by poets from Douglas Anderson. So a group of students are going to come out and take a whole 2-hour block in the park, and they're going to both present a work by an artist who inspired them and then work of their own. So I hope a lot of people will join us for lunch in Hemming and experience that. Poetry is an art that not enough of us appreciate or spend time with. And so I hope that we teach a lot of people in Jacksonville about the importance of poetry and what the written and spoken word can do for people during the month of April.
Yeah.
So one thing I love about Jacksonville is we have such an incredible history, and one problem that we have and one reason we remain an unappreciated city is that we don't do a good enough job of sharing that history, whether it's talking about the Johnson brothers or Augusta Savage or other important people from the early days of Jacksonville. With Poetry Month in April, we're going to share information about George Dillon, who is a Pulitzer Prize-winning poet from Jacksonville that I just discovered sort of by accident. So during one of the poetry readings in Hemming, I'll be sharing information about Mr. Dillon, who was born here in the early 1900s and became editor of the country's most important poetry magazines and won the Pulitzer, had an affair with Edna St. Vincent Millay, one of the most famous poets to ever live. So you'll get to hear poetry from Mr. Dillon and learn about him. And because while we have incredible spoken word artists now, I think it's important to also recognize the poets from the past in our city.
Absolutely.
I'm also very appreciative of the fact that the Florida...
The Florida Humanities Council?
I was going to say Division of Community. I'm so appreciative of the Florida Humanities Council, who is helping to fund our programming. We did a grant application with them earlier this year and were awarded some funds to help bring Mr. Letson to Jacksonville and provide this important programming for the city. So I want to give them a shout out
for coming for the home show. When we hit up Al just to say, hey, we would like you to host the closing events for Jax Poetry Fest. What is your honorarium? And he was like, oh, it's home. So if you can get me there, I'm down. And I honor him for that because he's accomplished so much he doesn't have to feel that way.
Absolutely. So. He's won Emmy Awards, Peabody's, has a reputation that's worldwide.
He's a Def Jam poet.
Yes, he's incredible.
And he sat where I'm sitting right now, too.
Writer.
I don't know when the show will air, but I'd like to let people know that Al will be in town at the end of March to produce for the final time his performance Summer in Sanctuary to benefit the Sanctuary in Springfield, which is an incredible program for children that Al's been involved with for many years. So he'll be flying home for that, then going back to San Francisco and coming out to join us in April. And he has just been willing to do anything we've asked of him, and can't say enough about Al. He's a wonderful person.
When Jacksonville takes care of our artists, the artists take care of Jacksonville.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Amen.
Yes.
So, Blue, you had a few questions for Ebony.
Yes. But before I get to the questions, I wanted to share some backstory.
Yeah.
When I first met Ebony, it was at Love Rain show. Wait, it was a poetry show.
Artistry.
Was it Artistry? No, it was at a Cafe 331. You remember that downtown?
Yeah,
was it
Love
Artistry?
Rain show.
Yeah, and
or the Cypher, they were both there.
I think it was a Cypher, yeah. And I had just got into I knew Matthew Cuban, and I knew me at the time. Me and Seven were like good friends, and me and Moses West used to do the poetry thing. And I went to high school with Odd Rod. So before the whole I'm not gonna say germination of poetry sprouted, but it was like a nucleus, and everybody kind of broke up and did their own thing, and it was just amazing. So when I met Ebony, at the time, her manager was like, "Hey, I want you to take her pictures," and I didn't know her, we didn't know her, but we felt each other's spirit. So as soon as we started talking about taking pictures, I immediately started thinking and visualizing, and I hadn't felt like that so much when I started my photography journey at the time. Like I was always trying to, hey, you do photography? Yes. Here's my price, here's my website, and I was always in business mode. When I met her, like all that went out the window. Like we went out to like some park in Riverside, and I remember I dropped one of my brand new lenses.
You did for that shot.
Yeah,
you dropped
I had just paid $1,000
into the St. John.
But I had
a shot of me.
We stood in the middle of this dirty water just to get this shot. Like I got the shot.
Got the shot and dropped
the lens.
It was $1,000 lens.
Yes, it was.
But it was worth it because at that time,
I tell everybody about that moment.
yeah, I appreciate the moment because it's something that I remember because it's not a painful memory. Because at that time, it was like a conception thing for me because that was my time of like creating something that I visualized. Like I didn't, before I took the picture, I saw it. So when I took the picture, it was worth it. I was like, hey, at least I got the shot.
Yeah.
And so
It became my album cover.
Yeah, it became my album
For-
cover.
Wow. Yeah.
And
when
I tell you, like I've had people like all over the world just be like, "Oh, I love that shot. Oh, hey, I met Ebony at a show in another country or something or another state and city," and they'll just be like, "Hey, I googled and I found out that you took the picture. This is amazing." So people would just reach out.
They
So
hung
over
the
the
photographs
years,
he took of me in the Ritz.
yeah.
They put it
So
on.
you got your $1,000 back.
Yeah, I got it back. I got it back.
Exposure bucks.
I got it back. But the reason why I wanted to come on and ask a question because right before she had her child, I was just amazed by her because she actually waited to let she people took pictures, but she wanted to save and embrace the moment for me to take the picture. So I drove up to Atlanta, and at that time she was having was you having health problems with the baby?
I was very sick. I almost died.
Yeah.
I coded the day after she was born. Give thanks they resuscitated me, and I'm here to be
Yeah.
with my daughter. But they were just trying to, at this point, they were just trying to get me to a safe place for her because they didn't think that I would survive the delivery.
Wow.
So they held me up in the hospital as long as they could until like I was just in such poor health that they had to take the baby out. Because they wanted to get her to safety before I left this planet. And so I was dealing with all of that. And I was like, I want Blue to take the pictures of my baby. He's my photographer. And like Blue and I just, like the moments that he's captured in my life, there have been family gatherings.
Yeah, family gatherings.
My sister's retirement party.
Oh, yeah, I remember
my
that.
niece's graduation party.
Maternity pictures.
My single release party.
Oh, yeah.
My maternity picture. Like,
And your sister's maternity picture.
My sister-in-law and
Brother.
my cousin.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You're just a
Maternity
family
pictures.
photographer.
Right. He's my family's photographer. I'm dead serious. He's my
Yeah.
family photographer.
Wow.
And I was like, I have a child coming, being birthed into this family, and you are not about to have all these pictures in my family's house. And then I give birth, and there ain't no pictures of my child.
My child, exactly.
You got
Yeah,
twisted.
and what's amazing was she had to go to Atlanta to have the child because she had to get some of the
Emory
best
University saved my life.
Yeah.
I had the best doctors on the planet.
Yeah, she did.
They came and they said, we're going to get you through this. And that is a testament, too, of the power of art.
Yeah.
It was because my OBGYN was a fan of my artwork that she felt compelled to do even if it wasn't her, even if she had to send me someplace else. She was like, you're gonna get the health that you need. I don't care who I have to call, who I need to refer you to, I need to tell this story to you, but you need better care.
That's amazing.
And Emory University, they sent me the best. They're the ones who wrote the textbooks on it, and they got me. I survived.
And the baby's healthy, right?
The women
Yeah.
of color that passed away giving birth in this country. And yes, Mahogany Rose was always, that's the thing. There was nothing ever wrong with her.
Yeah, that's
I was the one that got sick. She was in there kicking and moving and flying, and we call her Super because she was in there unbothered.
Yeah.
Like, what's up with you? But she also saved my life because she breached herself and started kicking my placenta into my cervix until I began hemorrhaging. And they couldn't wait any longer. They had to take her then.
Wow.
Because they couldn't stop the bleeding. And so they had to take her. And when they took her, I was so weak. I was so out of it and depleted that I just wasn't strong enough. I had a blood transfusion, and it just wasn't enough. It wasn't good enough. They were able to resuscitate me. And then Mahogany Rose was in the hospital for 2 months. And during that 2-month time, I healed and recovered. And I got myself into a place where I could bring her home. Blue came to Atlanta and was like, I want to take some pictures. And I'm like, we are not taking pictures of my baby with these tubes. And then, no, when she comes home, we will take pictures, but we're not doing it like this, not like this.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah, we did. And
now it's art.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I remember somebody drew a picture of the
Album cover.
Yeah, of their album cover, and I'm like, my eyes got watery because when you see it, well, you seen her album cover?
Mm-hmm.
They were in prison. The person that drew that picture was an inmate and mailed it to me.
Wow.
Drew the picture of the shot that cost $1,000.
Yeah,
and mailed it to me.
Oh, even the other shot with you and your baby,
and then
the girl, the young lady,
the Mahogany Rose's birth shoot. Was a painting. That's a painting.
Yeah, that's a painting. Yeah,
that's an acrylic painting. She painted the photograph that he took. So many people have drawn, and Joanne Walton from Stank Sauce drew a picture.
I seen him. He told me about it. He said, he told me about it. I haven't seen that one.
I have all of them.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was a visual artist.
He is. He went to DA for visual arts.
Yeah. So
all this talent in the city. It's amazing.
Yeah, so when I took her pictures recently with the baby, it was like, as I'm taking the pictures, I was feeling like we have all these memories, and when you look at the picture, it's just like I knew her when she got into poetry. I knew her when she was getting into relationships and growing, and I seen the teacher, and she was working with kids with Troy McNair. Like I seen so many levels on faces. So when I was taking these pictures, it just I felt all the memories coming, and you know what I'm saying. It's just like all the experiences, the ups and downs. I was always there. Every time she did like certain shows, I would just come pop up here and there. I remember she came to Jacksonville, did her first show. I came and popped up, and so there was always like just memory, just memory lane type moments that just like flood.
This is a collaboration. We're talking about collaboration. Blue has been one of my most trusted and consistent and dependable collaborators.
Really, me?
If I
she make it sound good.
Shoot with Blue, we create something that is timeless and classic that I can use forever. Forever. And he was the first one to photograph me in my gala professionally, and I take that very seriously.
The Secrets of Mayat.
It was for Ebb and Flow.
Oh, was it for Ebb?
That was the first time.
Oh, that was the name of the shoot. That was the name.
That was the name of the shoot.
Oh yeah,
it was Ebb and Flow, and then Secrets of My Eye was my book.
Yeah, right. Okay, gotcha.
And we did that. Escape to Ethiopia.
Okay.
We did that. We did so many things. We had so many theme shoots. We did the Diana Ross tribute.
I did. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Diana Ross today.
Happy birthday, Diana.
Yeah,
Yay! Turn up. I knew it was. Peace, EI.
That's MJ's spirit animal. Wait,
I see it.
Spirit energy.
I see it.
Diana Ross.
Yeah, Diana Ross.
New Year's when she said happy birthday to
you. Oh yeah. She was a little bit early. We talked about that earlier.
I'll take it.
She had that captive audience.
Diana Ross. Yeah, she taught me how to serve, and ironically, my daughter's name is Mahogany Rose, and I sang that song to her when she was in the hospital. Do you know where you're going? And she loves it. So we did a Diana Ross theme before Mahogany was conceived. We did a Diana Ross Mahogany themed photo shoot.
It's beautiful.
And that was when Michael May was still here to do my
Michael
makeup.
May.
And she gave me bottom lashes.
We did it all.
Yeah, Tracy Evans from Meow Bark styled me, and we just we gave tribute, and it was dope. So.
Yeah, we said all that just to ask one question. All I wanted to ask you was, why haven't we worked on any musical poetry together? That's one thing I feel like we're missing. Like what's the problem? Do you hate me?
Okay, hold on a second. After you've heard everything she said, how can you ask her that question?
Why can't we work on any music? Why can't we be like a musical butterfly? We was in this cocoon with photography, and let's create music. But you don't want to do that with me? What's wrong?
Have you asked me to do that with you?
Oh. We should just do something.
Okay.
You don't think that'd be
dope? Go ahead and shake.
What I'm saying is this is the first time he's saying this to me, and then
we was in a car when we went to the beach. You remember we did a photo shoot on the beach with the.
Yes, I remember.
We was listening to music. I said that'd be dope if I could say a poem, and then I don't know if you remember that, but we was on the beach. We did a photo shoot.
I don't.
And you styled the shoot for me something.
I remember styling it.
And you was in a car with me.
Yes.
Because I think I picked you up.
A very beautiful Ghanaian, yes.
Yeah, you styled. Yeah. Yeah, you styled the shoot.
I wrapped her. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
You remember that?
I remember that
Well,
perfectly.
in the conversation when we was in the car I was like, we was listening to Ainsley Burroughs,
Yes.
and there was a particular song that came on between a guy and a girl, and they was going back and forth. I said that'd be cool if me and you could do something like that.
And what did I say?
I think you said yeah,
It would be.
it would be. Oh, is
And
that
then
an
you
invitation?
said- and then you said,
What
That was sort of like you would say, I'm going to call you tomorrow, and you never call.
that's exactly
You
what
know,
happened.
so like a man.
And then it's like, do you hate me?
So it's your
Like,
Was it something I said?
so it's your own fault.
It's my own fault, but I feel like she should have took the initiative while she was pregnant.
Why did she have to take the initiative?
I think
While
she
she
should have
was in the
called.
hospital.
Right, while she was in the
Yeah.
hospital. She should have called me right before the birth and said, "Hey, Blue, let's schedule the
Remember
studio
that time
time."
you said it would be nice if we
You
collaborated?
decided to go.
You should have called me right after birth.
I think she was preoccupied with a lot.
Yeah, I think Blue has just proved everything we were saying earlier about women.
This is what happens to me all the time.
Right before Mahogany was born, I texted you. You didn't even call me. Like maybe I'll just play. I'm joking now.
No, he's not though. He was texting me the whole time. I was like, Blue, I'm in the hospital. I'm literally in the hospital fighting for my
Oh
life.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
texting.
you were. You're like, I want to do this documentary. I have this idea of doing a documentary.
She's like, I'm
She's telling the truth because I drove up to the hospital at Emory and I was sitting outside and I think she fell asleep for 2 hours and then I had jumped on the road and she texted me and said, "Oh, Blue, I'm sorry, I went to sleep." I said, "Okay, I'm on the road now." I forgot.
Yeah.
I feel so bad. I was
And
joking.
Ebony, your memory is like
I'm up here joking and I remember I actually was texting her.
He was.
Try
But
to
it
get
was
up.
cool. He loved me, and he never for 1 minute thought that I was gonna die. Like he never thought.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about
He
that.
was
Like I heard.
talking to me all normal. He's like, "We're gonna do this documentary about your first year as a mother," and I'm all like, "Blue, this is not something I'm prepared to talk about, considering."
at this moment,
And
right?
he's like, "No."
Oh, yeah, don't worry, but you can do it.
Yeah, like we need to plan
I don't
it
think
now.
I'm gonna live. No, you're gonna live. Hit me up after the birth.
Dead serious, like, yeah.
He had great faith in you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
here I am.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Here I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
He was gonna live anyway. Oh my god, that was so funny.
Gosh,
I
this is so
forgot
good.
about that. That's it for me.
I think we've established that you two are going to perform together.
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe that'll be the next Ebony Payne-English song on Taste Test.
Well, I'm gonna be at the
Ooh,
poetry.
yeah.
I'm gonna be at the festival. So
So I hope you're at the God MC too.
yeah, because
So
I missed the
you can-
first one, so I'm gonna be at
Yeah,
second.
exactly.
Me too.
You know what happened with the woman who was there because Blue couldn't make it, and he had another engagement. It was okay; he was excused, but somebody else had to photograph. And you know what happened to her?
What happened?
She got invited to Sundance after she photographed the goddess experience.
Oh, I got it. Oh,
She
okay.
went to Sundance.
I gotta bring my camera.
That's what happened.
Okay, I'm coming.
I mean, not saying like.
Nah, I know what you mean.
I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
saying,
yeah, yeah.
we
Yeah.
curate magic.
yeah, I can't miss this one. It's April 27th, right? Wait, the God MC.
God MC is
To-
April 7th. April 27th is Al Letson Party in the Park with Friends of Hemming Park and Jax Poetry Fest in Hope at Hand, the Performance Academy.
Can you take a quick moment from a Hemming Park perspective and tell people how they can find this information?
We have a very active social media presence, so you can find us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter under at Hemming Park, and we also have a website, hemmingpark.org, and there should be information about all the different activities posted there.
Yeah. And Ebony, can you take a quick moment and tell people how they can find you?
EbonyPayne-English.com. EbonyPayne-English. And everything's there: content, music, poetry, children's books, the whole nine.
Okay. And we're gonna end this segment of Taste Test Live with your song,
No love.
No love.
KNOW.
KNOW. No love. Right here on Test Live. Thank you so much, ladies. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to 102.999 on your MF dial. This your favorite DJ G Fizzle off the hizzle. We got my homie Ebony, you know what I'm saying? She talking about love and knowing love and what you know about love and how to love, you feel me? But if you love somebody, put your arms around them and give them a great big old hug. You might miss them when they're gone. So everybody, you know, vibe on out to this. You know what I'm saying? No love on your MF dial 102.999. Yeah.
As a girl, I knew the world was sick. Sickness and prejudice, war and poverty, take your pick. And since that fateful day, the source of my dilemma's been strength is in heaven, the power is what you do with it. So I've been called to evolve my pen to a mighty sword, losing unwavering wisdom when weekend hearts are sore. But kicking knowledge for profit comes with a mighty price. These dollars don't send your doorway, comes with a compromise. And when your wager is whether you got that shit you talking, ain't always easy to be me and keep my business walking. That's when I throw on my armor and keep my better look. You can't be plugged on your principles till you show me love. I just ask that you show me love. I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. I wanna feel what love is. Yeah, I know you can show me. It wasn't too long ago, my worst was doing bad. Got caught up into feeling like I didn't have a chance. Then somebody just called me to say how dope I was. And my more troublesome minty got up and off them drugs. I got to writing and rearranging what truly matters. Forgiveness, family, community, unity, and laughter. When circumstances around you belong to none of those. When you surrounded by people still feeling so alone. When there's no hashtag to save you from bitter solitude. And there's no status to strategize you to a better mood. I send compassionate actions and words of gratitude. I make my living off dealing encouragement to you. In return, please show me love. I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. I wanna feel what love is. Yeah, I know you can show me. We're all just strangers in danger, but common enemies. Falling apart and awaiting a new assembly. Wandering wounded by wayside of urban battlefield. Before the blood clots, I'm hoping you have a chance to heal. And to my women who keep it work home and family straight, you're a miraculous, my touch of courage, faith, and grace. I'm humbled by your existence, and for your truth I pray. I truly hope I can grow to be just like you one day. Show love, show them, just show me love. Show love, all I ask is show me love. Show love, all I ask is show me love. Show love, show them, please show me love. I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. I wanna feel what love is.
Taste Test Live is supported by listeners like you. If you enjoy the show and want to make sure I can keep making it at this rate, then head over to tastetest.live and click the button that says Patreon. There you can learn how you can help and get some perks for your support. If you're unable to support Taste Test Live financially, then share the show. Tell your friends about it and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast service. I really enjoy sharing this podcast with you and producing it every week. Thank you so much for listening.